If you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. Friedrich Nietzsche. Kosem Sultan, one of the most powerful female figures in Ottoman history, entered the dark corridors of power to protect her children and grandchildren. Yet, under the weight of time and circumstance, she eventually became a part of the very darkness she fought against. This is not merely a story about a woman's struggle for power. It is a striking reflection of the curses that power can bring. Her real name was Mahpeyker, meaning moon-faced. She was born around 1589 as the daughter of a Greek priest in what is now Greece or Bosnia. Historians still disagree on her exact birthplace. This uncertainty represents one of the first paradoxes of her life. The most influential woman of the Ottoman Empire had a past mysterious enough to hide her very roots. Exactly when and how she was brought to the palace remains a mystery. Perhaps she was captured in a raid, or perhaps her family's economic desperation drove her to the Ottoman slave markets. What is certain, however, is that she was barely more than a child when she passed through the gates of Topkapı Palace. Surviving and gaining notice in the fiercely competitive environment of the Ottoman harem was no easy feat. Yet, Mahpeyker's sharp intellect and leadership qualities allowed her to overcome these challenges. When Sultan Ahmed I first met her at the age of 14, he was captivated by a consort who enchanted him not just with her beauty, but with her mind. She became the only woman among the other consorts to keep the Sultan's interest alive for years, earning her the title Kosem. This name, meaning the leader of the flock, the guide, or the pioneer, was the first sign of her innate leadership. Kosem Sultan gave birth to 8 children by Ahmed I. Her sons were Murad IV, Ibrahim I, Prince Kasim, and Prince Mehmed. Her daughters are known as Aishi Sultan, Fatma Sultan, Geverhan Sultan, and Atika Sultan. In 1617, when Sultan Ahmed I passed away at the age of 27 due to a stomach illness, a bloody period of Ottoman throne struggles began. According to the common practice of the time, the heir to the throne was expected to execute all potential rivals. In such a brutal order, her young sons were the heirs under the greatest threat. However, Kosem Sultan used her political foresight to change these cruel rules and implemented one of the most significant reforms in Ottoman history, the system of Ekberiyet. With this new system, succession was determined by seniority. The eldest member of the dynasty would ascend, effectively removing fratricide from the tradition. Kosem Sultan was not yet 30 years old when she achieved this. This move did not just save her sons. It went down in history as a massive transformation that ensured the continuity of the Ottoman dynasty. In 1623, when Murad IV ascended the throne as a 12-year-old boy, the Ottoman Empire was in a deep crisis. The Janissaries were in revolt. The war with the Safavids raged on. Baghdad had been lost, and the treasury was bankrupt. Under these conditions, it was unclear who would rule the state. Officially, the administration belonged to someone holding the title of Regent of the Sultanate, the Naib. But in practice, the reins were in the hands of Kosem Sultan. This formidable woman held the helm of the empire, negotiating with statesmen at the decision table, making war resolutions, and personally overseeing the appointment and dismissal of pashas. Her correspondence from that period can still be found in the archives today. Some of Kosem Sultan's letters to her son began with the address, "My Lion." These letters sometimes described an uprising in Yemen, while other times they expressed her anxieties regarding her son's health. Yet each one carried a voice that blended a mother's affection with the sharp intellect of a statesman. Kosem Sultan was not just the mother of a sultan. She was a leader effectively acting as the sultan herself. With her strong will, the rebellion of Abaza Mehmed Pasha was suppressed, and Cossack attacks were repelled. Over time, Murad IV grew stronger and became one of the most authoritarian sultans in Ottoman history. He banned alcohol, closed coffee houses, and made wandering the streets of Istanbul at night punishable by death. Seeing this power in her son, Kosem Sultan slowly retreated into the background, yet she never fully left the stage. In 1640, when Murad IV died of liver failure, only one young heir remained for the Ottoman throne, Ibrahim. This sultan, who would later be known as Ibrahim the Mad, unfortunately did not carry this title in vain. Imprisoned for years in fear of execution, the death of his loved ones and the darkness of locked rooms had deeply shaken his mental balance. When he took the throne, Ibrahim was neither physically nor spiritually ready. Kosem Sultan had managed to keep her son on the throne, but now that same son was driving the empire toward ruin. Ibrahim's obsession with sable furs and amber reached its peak. The palace treasury was squandered on favorites, precious furs, and luxury fantasies. Disorder reigned in state affairs. Grand viziers were changed frequently, and the Cretan War was drifting toward disaster. Kosem Sultan watched all of this with desperation. What could a mother do to stop such destruction brought by her own son? In 1648, the Janissaries and the religious scholars united to depose Sultan Ibrahim. However, Kosem Sultan's approval was required to carry out this decision, and she gave it. Shortly after, Ibrahim was deposed and executed within days. A mother approving the death warrant of her own son was an unprecedented event in Ottoman history. Kosem Sultan carried the weight of this decision for the rest of her life, yet she felt no regret, for to her, the nature of power left no room for emotions. The new sultan was Ibrahim's 7-year-old son, Mehmed IV. Kosem Sultan was no longer just the Valide Sultan. She was the Grand Valide, or Valide-i Muazzama, a title never before seen in Ottoman history, reflecting her immense power. But there was another woman in the palace, Turhan Sultan, young, determined, and ambitious, the mother of Mehmed IV. In the Ottoman dynasty, a mother's rights always took priority, but this time things were more complicated. The rivalry between Kosem Sultan and Turhan Sultan divided the palace. Kosem Sultan had years of experience, a vast network of influence, and loyal guards on her side. On the other hand, Turhan Sultan used time as an advantage to solidify her position. But the real question was, who should hold the power? The mother of the Sultan or the grandmother who carried him to the throne? The events unfolding in the palace corridors were not mere gossip. They were a matter of life and death. According to a rumor that still echoes through history, it was claimed that Kosem Sultan planned to poison or depose the young sultan. Whether these claims were true or fabricated is unknown, but for Turhan Sultan and her supporters, these rumors were danger enough, and these allegations sealed Kosem Sultan's fate. On the night of September 2nd, 1651, when the palace doors suddenly burst open and armed men rushed through the corridors, Kosem Sultan was searching for a place to hide in the dark hallways of the Harem. But escape was impossible. They found her hidden on top of a cupboard. She went down in record as the first and only Valide Sultan to be murdered in Ottoman history. Kosem Sultan is known as one of the women who held actual power for the longest period in Ottoman history. Her story shows us how power can be both incredibly strong and incredibly fragile. While it sheds light on how a woman's will can change the course of history, it also reminds us that even in the palace, no one was safe. No one.